happy first day of spring to you, and thanks so much for joining us on UpNorthLive Unscripted at 6:30. Although definitely didn't feel or look like spring out there today. I guess we do have some sunshine in some parts of northern Michigan now, which is nice, but there's still a good amount of snow on the ground from overnight and this morning. That's making it look more wintry than spring-like. So, Joe, will we start to feel more like spring maybe this weekend?
Maybe a little bit. Okay. I think actually, if you look at the next week, tomorrow might be the warmest day of that stretch. So I think some 40s and 50s tomorrow.
Okay.
But, a week ago tomorrow and Saturday when we had those 60s and 70s. That's and nice. I don't see that in the forecast yet. Okay. July for sure. But we did have some wet, heavy snow. There were a lot of power outages actually because of that and the combination of wind. But that is long gone now. And we'll take a look at our forecast. There are still a few chances for snow that and the weekend a little later.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe. Let's start off with our top story tonight. That takes us to Lake County, where a private prison that's been vacant for several years will reopen as part of the federal government's effort to enforce immigration. Now, UpNorthLive's Daniel Zivian gives us some background on the site and what its history could potentially tell us about its future.
The village of Baldwin has only 900 residents, but its population could more than double in the coming months. The Geo Group, a Florida-based private prison company, says the North Lake Correctional Facility will reopen as an immigration processing center, operated by ICE under a multi-year contract. The company says in a statement, quote, Geo's support services are expected to include the exclusive use of the facility by ICE, along with security, maintenance, and food services, as well as access to recreational amenities, medical care, and legal counsel. We are proud of our 40-year public-private partnership with ICE, and we stand ready to continue to help the federal government meet its expanded immigration enforcement priorities. Geo says they can hold up to 1,800 detainees at North Lake and expect more than $70 million in revenue in the first year. North Lake's most recent federal stint began in 2019 with the arrival of low-security, non-citizen convicts. The reopening was greeted with protests by immigrant rights groups. North Lake later closed in 2022 after President Biden ended the use of private prisons. Possibly Baldwin's largest employer, around 300 people were let go. We reached out to Geo to find out when North Lake will open and whether they will hire local workers. A spokesperson said they were unable to comment beyond their media release. Daniel Zivian, UpNorthLive News.
And we did receive a statement from Congressman John Molinar, whose district covers Lake County. He says in part, quote, this facility will be key in support of ICE as President Trump works to secure our borders and remove criminal illegal immigrants from our country. The Biden administration closed the North Lake Correctional Facility in 2022 as illegal border crossings were at an all-time high, resulting in 300 Lake County residents losing their jobs. This new contract is a win for the Lake County community, bringing much needed jobs back to the area and helping ICE accomplish its mission. Talking school infrastructure now, a new study suggests that Michigan schools will need more than $22 billion over the next 10 years just to address basic infrastructure needs like heating and cooling, roofs, and basic safety items. Now, a group of educators spoke out this morning saying something needs to be done right now in order to make sure that statewide no student is left behind. Here is Mark Schlett with much more on that story.
I think that's one of the biggest points to drive home is that we're not talking about trying to do things that are outlandish or expensive. We're talking about the basics. We're talking about safety. We're talking about infrastructure.
And when you do that, talk with educators about Michigan's school infrastructure, the words billions and needed come up a lot.
The study identified a $22.8 billion gap in funding related to basic building health, safety, and wellness standards over the next decade in Michigan.
The School Finance Research Foundation arrived at that number, $22.8 billion in needed infrastructure investment, a finding they released in their latest comprehensive study.
This report is the culmination of 2 years of research and 95,000 collective hours spent assessing these buildings. Roughly 1,500 engineering and other professionals assessed 243 million square feet of building space across Michigan.
At schools across the state, 89 different infrastructure components were evaluated,
including HVAC, inclusive of boilers, ventilation, piping, and temperature controls,
and on
roofing,
and on and on.
electrical.
What they discovered was they believe something needs to be done to address what are needed repairs. Their numbers don't include things like playgrounds and athletic complexes, simply the basics of education.
With these results in hand, local districts, school boards, and communities will have the best data to make decisions on investing in their school building needs at the local level.
But when you're talking billions of dollars statewide, local level funding may not be enough to adequately address the improvements.
There is no ongoing dedicated state funding for school infrastructure, as I said earlier. Schools can use their general fund operations for that, but that's not what it's built for.
And some say this study points out that needs to change, that statewide schools may struggle relying solely on millages and local support, and that something needs to be done soon.
Every child in Michigan deserves to have the same quality facilities regardless of your zip code. And I understand that there are challenges within our communities to be able to support increased taxes. And that's why I believe it's important that the study lays out the importance for the state to support specific initiatives to help level the playing field.
That was Mark Gillette reporting. Now, there are some common trends that most school districts are facing when it comes to infrastructure issues, but at the same time, there are some that are pretty unique based on the region and specifically the county, the district that your school is in. So we have posted the study on our website, UpNorthLive.com, so you can see how your local school district is faring. All right, switching gears now, there is a distillery in northern Michigan that is releasing a pretty special whiskey to support the reintroduction of Arctic grayling to Michigan waters. We are talking about Iron Fish Distillery in Benzie County. And for more on this special whiskey, let's bring in Troy Anderson. He is the marketing and sales director for Iron Fish Distillery. Troy, thanks so much for joining us on Unscripted.
Hi, Maya. Good to be with you.
All right, so let's back up to the start of this. When did Iron Fish Distillery knew that they wanted to get involved with the reintroduction of Arctic grayling into Michigan waters?
Yeah, so we've been around since 2016, and we started the Iron Fish Arctic Grayling Research Fund in collaboration with the Manistee Community Foundation in 2019. So this will be the fourth release of rye whiskey. And a portion of the proceeds go to supporting the reintroduction of the grayling, which were once native in northern Michigan, back into Michigan waters.
So what specifically caught the attention of the distillery to get involved with this cause?
Well, our name Iron Fish comes from and was inspired by steelhead trout. So one of our kind of core values is supporting healthy watersheds. We're right by the Betsy River, and with Iron Fish being in our name, we learned about the efforts of the Michigan Arctic Grayling Initiative a few years ago to work with Michigan State University, as well as the DNR, the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians, as well, to all collaborate and work together to achieve the common goal of trying to successfully reintroduce grayling to Michigan waters, which has been attempted a few times over the years, but unsuccessfully. So what we decided to do again was how we could contribute. We have a pretty good audience here at Iron Fish. We get over 100,000 visitors a year. So we decided why not join that effort and come up with a special commemorative whiskey that a portion of the proceeds from each bottle sale go directly to that fund to support that research.
That was awesome. And I know you are no biologist, but can you tell us a little bit about why it's important to reintroduce Arctic grayling into our waterways here in Michigan?
Yeah, well, I'm certainly not a biologist, but I do know the last documented Arctic grayling was caught in the Upper Peninsula in 1932. 2006, I believe, and they were once thriving in northern Michigan waters. I mean, we all know the city of Grayling, not too far from here, was really named after that fish and their abundance here in northern Michigan. So we just thought it'd be a really great project to work on collaboratively with a number of different stakeholders to create a cool product, hopefully raise some awareness, but also create a space for people to come together to learn more about the project, get more involved in the project. And right now I'm coming to you from our Headwaters event space at Ironfish, where on Saturday at noon, we open at noon on Saturday and bottle sales begin, but at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, we're actually going to have the DNR and fisheries biologist from the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians giving a presentation on the status of their reintroduction efforts.
So let's talk a little bit more about this whiskey. What makes it unique?
So this particular whiskey actually have one of the bottles right here. And one thing that I'm going to note, this really cool label design of the Arctic Grayling was a piece done by Northern Michigan artist Danny Knopf. So she was kind enough to donate her artwork to be featured on the bottle. So that's a cool little side note. Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, just tell me a little more about the whiskey itself. So it has an awesome label.
Oh, yeah, of course. The whiskey, yeah. So the whiskey itself, it's when we first released the rye, it was only about 19 months old, and that was in 2019. So we'd only been around for a couple years. Now, as we've grown, we're entering our 9th year in business. This particular whiskey is a single barrel, bottled at 100 proof. It's rye that we grew right here on our farm. So we're the only farm distillery in Michigan. And we grow rye and wheat on 80 acres of farmland. So the whiskey in this particular single barrel of Arctic Grayling rye was grown right here at Ironfish. And this whiskey also has a fun story because it's truly kind of a unicorn, unique barrel. Because after only about 11 months of aging, our distilling team found that this barrel was leaking. And so to save that barrel, the only thing they could put it in was a Caribbean rum cask. We had an empty one laying around. And so they filled about half of that barrel up with a rye whiskey. So it's really unique. It aged for about 6.5 years in total. There's only about 150 bottles. So it is going to be first come, first serve. I can tell you it is delicious. So we hope that everyone comes this Saturday to learn a little bit about the whiskey, but more importantly, learn about what's going on with the efforts to reintroduce Grayling to Michigan waters.
Sure. So with only 150 bottles, there's a good chance that they could all sell out this Saturday.
Absolutely, yeah. As I mentioned before, we've had, this will be our 4th release, and all of our releases to date have sold out. So we have a good amount of people who have RSVP'd. You can do that on our website at ironfishdistillery.com/Arctic Grayling. We have an Eventbrite set up, so you can RSVP to that. But the bottles will be available on a first come, first serve basis, and we open at noon on Saturday.
Sounds like a really great product for a really great cause. So Troy, thanks so much for joining us on Unscripted. We really appreciate it. And let's take a look at our question of the day related to this story. So are you more likely to purchase a product if the proceeds support a good cause? You can scan the QR code on your screen right now. That will take you to our website where you can vote. It looks like majority of voters, kind of no surprise here, are saying yes, they are more likely to purchase a product if the proceeds support a good cause. So as always, I will continue to keep an eye on those results and also take a look at some of your Facebook comments, and we will update you towards the end of the show. But let's take a quick commercial break, and Joe will have much more in your forecast for our Friday, and I'll look ahead to the weekend as well in a few minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Well, nothing screams first day of spring quite like waking up to some snow on the ground here in northern Michigan. For more, let's turn things over to Joe. Joe, do we have any more snow in the forecast, or can we be done with this?
Oh, there's more. There's more. Maybe a little bit tomorrow night into Saturday, and then more likely Sunday night into Monday. So winter hanging on. I mean, we are almost to March. We're like 10 days away. Or
April.
not March, April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep up.
By the way, I want to wish Australia a happy first day of fall today.
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
True.
Yeah, down under. Because in the southern, opposite.
Right. Yep. That's how that works.
Let's go to Mackinac Island.
Let's.
It'll take you there. Why not? It's 28. And a lot of snow on the ground. It was pretty much bare ground there just a couple days ago. But we had snow, of course, last night through this morning. 28 is the current temperature there. Here's a look at our snow on the ground. Now, if you head up to the UP, we still have a good amount, over a foot, for parts of Schoolcraft, Luce, and Chippewa counties, especially up there near Lake Superior. And we added to that in the Lower Peninsula as well. But again, we'll melt a little bit of this tomorrow as we are expecting 40s and 50s. Now, the snow is over with, and it was nice this afternoon because we did break out into some sunshine for pretty much all of northern Michigan. There's the last radar and satellite images coming in. There was a fair amount of snow across the region, though. Grawn, 3.5 inches. But again, it was a wet, heavy snow. I'm sure many of you know that. If you were outside today, East Jordan, almost 4 inches of accumulation. And then the highest totals, or some of the higher ones, take a look at Cross Village and Emmett County, about 10 inches of wet, heavy snow fell there. In Dollarville, that's southwest of Newberry, about 8 inches of accumulation. But the area of low pressure that brought all this is moving away, and you can see it there up near Ottawa. That heading offshore will bring some rain to New England, some snow there tonight. And then if you look up on the other side of Lake Superior, you see an area of low pressure south of Winnipeg, a cold front. That front comes in tomorrow night and will bring in a chilly day on Saturday. So what this looks like is a quiet one tonight, not much happening tomorrow. But then tomorrow night, right here, this is around 10, 11 o'clock, there will be a round of rain and snow passing through, and then snow showers expected. There's not going to be a lot of snow Saturday, but there will be a little bit of lake effect snow Saturday during the day, especially the first half of the day. The main system in the next 7 days is here. Low pressure continues to approach the area. That's Sunday night about 5 o'clock. And look what happens. We get snow in here Sunday night into Monday. Monday could be messy too in the morning. And then even Tuesday, a few snow showers hanging around. So Maya asked, are we going to get snow? Yeah, there's still some in the forecast. And you see the weekend, 20 Saturday, a chilly day. Those highs, by the way, are about 10 to 15 degrees below normal. Sunday, a little warmer, but some late day snow. And here you go, the extended forecast. Looks like that. We're looking at snow rolling in Sunday night, kind of a snowy start to the work week next week. And temperatures for the most part, a few 40s here and there, but staying in the 30s, Maya.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe, for that. Let's take a quick commercial break. But coming up in just a couple of minutes, we will bring in sports director Harrison Beebe and talk all things March Madness. Stay with us. Well, today is the official start of March Madness. A Northern Michigan basketball player who now plays at college actually competed yesterday for his team in a first-in game. For more on that, let's turn things over to sports director Harrison Beebe live from the Content Center. Hey, Harrison.
Yeah, that's right, Maya. Wyatt Nostatus, you and I both covered him for Traverse City St. Francis playing football. Got the team to the state finals in both football and basketball. So a great athlete. No surprise to see him playing big-time Division I college basketball. It is at American University, which is a smaller school to most people at home, but that's the beauty of March Madness. We allow 68 teams to get in, and Wyatt and American University were one of the 68. They had to be in the playing game last night and fell short. Their best player came up with an injury, so who knows what would have happened if he was healthy. Maybe they would have gotten the chance to advance and play Duke. We got the chance to talk to Wyatt earlier this week to talk about how special this week was for him.
This school, this staff, I kind of saw it in the future that they had a very good chance to make the tournament. One of our assistants, Jackie Manuel, won a national championship at North Carolina. Coach Simp, our head coach, played at Maryland, went to a Sweet 16. They've been here. They've been to March Madness. They know what winning looks like, and that was something that was really attractive to me.
What does this mean to a Traverse City kid growing up playing in Northern Michigan and now a few years out of high school having the chance to be on that national? We just saw Josh Burnham play for Notre Dame in the national championship, and you were right around his age range.
I think about it all the time. Just growing up where I grew up in Traverse City, you don't really hear stories. You don't have people to necessarily look up to that I know directly to kind of follow in their footsteps. So for me to be able to be from Traverse City like I am, kind of make it out of Northern Michigan where it's a little bit harder to be recruited and all that, and now to be in the position to play in March Madness, it just excites me.
What moment to you is the biggest March Madness moment of all time? What moment made the tournament what it is to you?
The first thing that came to mind was Jordan Poole's buzzer beater at Michigan, but I can't remember if that was in the tournament or was that in the Big Ten tournament.
No, it was. I think they beat Houston in the second round.
That's right. It was against Houston. I would say that's probably the first thing that comes to mind is Jordan Poole's buzzer beater at Michigan.
Some great stuff there. And Michigan does play tonight. So Wyatt, maybe we'll check out the Wolverines. They got the late 10 o'clock tip, Maya. So you're going to want to make some coffee or some tea if you want to stay up for that one. And a quick humble brag. I am 8-0 so far this tournament. Although to be fair, the tournament has been kind of boring.
Still really impressive, though. I'm nowhere near 8-0. So kudos to you, Harrison. Thanks so much for joining us today. Let's take a quick break. But coming up next, we will take another look at the live results for a question of the day and a few of your comments straight ahead.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
In case you missed it earlier in the show, Iron Fish Distillery in Benzie County is releasing its fourth Arctic Grayling Rye Whiskey this Saturday. It's to help support the reintroduction of Arctic Grayling into Michigan waters. 150 bottles. So if you're interested, you might want to show up because they have sold out every time. So are you more likely to purchase a product if the proceeds support a good cause? 60% say yes, 40% say no. Couple comments on Facebook. Scott says always. Richard says it's always nice to help out. So if you want to help out the reintroduction of Arctic Grayling, Iron Fish Distillery this Saturday. That'll do it for Unscripted. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight.